Hi, I'm Debbie Thompson, and this is A Stone in My Shoe, the podcast where we explore how midlife can become the most true, purposeful, and fulfilling chapter yet when we choose to follow our inner wisdom. And today's guest is Giancarla Gureng, who works at the intersection of psychology, clinical nursing, NLP, and deep energetic recalibration. Her own journey has included discovering her spiritual gifts and learning how to integrate them rather than to hide them. It has also included navigating domestic violence and the long road of rediscovering and reigniting herself. Today, she supports empowered women and high achieving leaders navigating major transitions, identity shifts, and high stakes decisions. She does this by clearing subconscious patterns, internal value conflicts, and unseen energetic interference so they can lead from clarity, coherence, and sovereignty. Giancarla, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie. I am excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your story as well. But before we go into your story, I just want to frame for the lady who's listening to this when she finishes a podcast, what do you hope she understands differently about herself in terms of subconscious patterns, energy, clarity, or anything else?
Thank you for that question. So, I would like to start off with questions as well. So, I use questions to invite awareness in for someone to just sit within and integrate and allow the awareness to flow. So, I would throw it back with a question. What if you were never wrong? You'd never been wrong. And there's always choice in how you can change your life. And it nothing is also outside of you. It's just all within when you reach your own heart.
Mm, that's an interesting perspective to throw it back and instead of looking externally, slow things down and start looking internally. Very,
Yeah,
very interesting. Thank you for turning that around and posing a question. And what might she realize is possible that she hasn't yet allowed herself to believe?
that is so cool. I love that question. So, in every situation that I have experienced in my life, whether it be amazing or not so great, or even like the most gruesome thing that I could imagine that I thought I wouldn't have experienced, is I always ask myself, what's the gift in this?
Mhm.
What's the gift in this? And always I would get something greater than what I expected. And I able to see clearly things that I haven't seen before or realized that like, yeah, so that was the gift in that particular instance. There is always a gift in everything that we choose and in all of our experiences.
Now, that's a wonderful and empowering thing to know that there is a gift in everything and, restating things and relooking at things makes it incredibly empowering. That's wonderful. Um, so before we dive into your stones, I just wanted to find out a little bit more about you, Giancarla. When people see the work you do now, what part of your earlier life might surprise them?
So the most surprising, I think, which is getting more and more discovered nowadays, is that I used to do ghost busting. And I was hired with my friends overseas by high profile people, politicians, millionaires, like serial entrepreneurs. And they would hire us to clear their mansions, their business enterprises, and even islands. So they would fly us to anywhere in the Philippines. So we could do energy calibration. And my job in that particular group was to count how many entities there were before the process and after.
But Giancarla, taking that, I mean, that is wild and unusual, and I've never heard. I mean, I've seen the movie, but I've never met a real life Ghostbuster. So that's incredibly exciting. How old were you when this happened, and how did you know you could do this?
Yeah, I think I was in my early 20s at that
Mm.
time. And I knew that there was always something different about me growing up. as a little child. But I was able to explore it more when I got connected and had this coherent collaborations with people that are like minded. And there was no judgment, it was all welcome, no matter what facet of life you're from. And I remember during that time, Debbie, that so I have come from a clinical background. So I'm a psychology graduate. I did psychological science as a pre med course. I was going to
Mm,
become a doctor, and then I changed my choice to go into nursing instead. And
mhm,
so I have 2 degrees. And at that time, the challenge for me was how do I connect my scientific healthcare background with spirituality? And when I found the people that actually allowed me to be me, that was the first group. Yeah, it just bloomed. And it was like I discovered gifts that I never really experienced when I was little. And it was like, oh, this is fun and easy. I remember my mother was quite scared. Like,
mhm.
aren't you scared with what you're doing? And I'm like, uh, no, not really. It's actually fun and easy.
And and that is quite remarkable because at 21, your early 20s, many people are trying to fit in to do what's expected of them. The route that most of us um, go when our parents expect a lot from us, go to university, often become a doctor. And then to go into the spiritual side is quite unusual. How did you find your like-minded people?
Oh, okay. Hmm, good question. Now it's just all coming back to me now. It's so cool to me how awareness just shows up always at excellent timing. It was one of those major moments in my life when I was asking myself of my self-worth.
Hmm.
And yeah, like early 20s, just finished uni, my first degree, and then going to a second degree. And I was like, who am I really? Like, and what am I supposed to be doing to contribute to this world? And, um, and all of these unusual gifts that people might call weird, which I love now, by the way, the meaning of this word weird,
Hmm.
because it allowed me to embrace all facets of myself. So I have a 1925 dictionary, and I've learned somewhere that all original energies of words before 1945, before World War II,
Hmm.
like the original energies of energies. And in that dictionary that I have, weird means of spirit, fate, and destiny, and of magical influence. So ever since then, I was like, I am actually self um, professed and proud to say that I have my weirdness. And so does everyone. And
Wonderful.
yeah, enjoy and celebrate it.
So you met your people and could see that there were two sides, trying to bring in the kind of academic and then we won't call it weird, but the spiritual side. Did you carry on using the two together, or did you move into one aspect and leave the other side behind?
I so love this question. I so I was working in hospital
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing clinical nursing education and I was working in aged care like all at the same time. I'm the type of person that finds excitement and vitality in the different roles that I do. And so yes, I actually am still, like I did, and I am still using the tools that I've learned and developed all these years, even when I was doing my clinical nursing. So whenever I would deal with clinical emergencies or death, I actually found myself speaking with the patient's higher self while they're in a coma or just before going into a coma and assisting them with what choice they're really trying to make. And I've seen it time and again, even when someone is on an end of life pathway, that they either resurrect or they choose to move on peacefully. And that was actually very powerful. And I really find that beautiful. I
Mm-hmm.
know some people might find it gruesome, but
Oh, but I
yeah.
understand, incredibly powerful. But the other people, particularly in the nursing, the aged care sector, they might find that really weird if you said, "Oh, I've just spoken to, whoever, and this is what they want." How did people respond to you, or did you talk about it and then got a feedback that wasn't great, and then kind of hid your talents for a bit? How did that work for you?
Mm. So I always ask myself questions. Like I said earlier, I love
Hmm.
questions. Is it kindness to actually speak to family about what had transpired in my connection with their loved one's subconscious or even their higher self? And
Hmm.
there would only be a few that would I would get a pull of a yes, but a lot of the times I would share it with my colleagues who are my co-managers that actually see this and understand it as well. So with the feedback that I get from families that it wasn't the right time for me to tell them what conversations I've had with their loved ones, I would get feedback like, "Thank you so much. I thought that choosing my mom's advanced care directives to have a peaceful and comfortable end of life pathway was actually not really kind because they were scared of what their families might say and judge them as like, oh, like, how dare you sign this paperwork and what have you. But they got at peace with it and they would approach me and say, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me the possibility that this is actually kindness. And I could sense that because a lot of these people can't decide for themselves, the
Hmm.
actual care recipients.
Hmm.
But I knew, like, in my heart and in my spiritual connection with them, that they agree with what their loved ones have chosen for them that is for their highest good.
Hmm.
So that's how it transpired for
So,
me.
so what you said earlier, and I hope I understood it correctly, saying that you asked yourself the question, is it kind to ask this question? And you said the majority of the times it was no. So why was it that the majority of times the answer was no?
Okay, so we were actually not taught that everything that occurs in our life is our choice, even birth. I have read in so many books and, well-renowned speakers, more on the spiritual side that children choose their parents. But also, what if death is also a choice?
Hmm.
And the reason why I like speak strongly of this and believe this is how many times have I seen doctors give, time frame for how long a person would live? Oh, you only have 3 months left to go. And I've seen it time and again that people would actually choose to live longer. Or even on the other side, on the other hand, when the doctors would say, oh, you have 5 years with this diagnosis, and then they pop off the planet the very next day because they don't want to go through that process.
Hmm.
And I've looked after people that are on end of life pathway that have resurrected so many times, bounce back as if nothing happened. Next day, they're walking, they're eating, they're conversing with other people. So that's like, so what if that is really what is the ultimate truth that everything in life is a choice?
So you wouldn't tell their families because the information you got from that person was they were no longer choosing to be there,
Hmm.
and you didn't want to upset the families by conveying that.
Yes, and also honoring their loved one that's unwell, quote unquote, of that confidentiality. Yeah, because
Right.
it's also most likely a kindness for their loved
Hmm.
ones not to exactly know about it.
Hmm.
Um, because we would tend to go to our rational minds, like, oh no,
Hmm.
that can't be true.
Hmm.
But yeah, having that, giving confidence to the person that I have just conversed with in a spiritual level, like allows that trust as well. And what I've learned all through these years of speaking with spirits and entities that they're not always here to, to be harmful or scary. Sometimes they're just here to communicate, to connect, to contribute even,
Hmm.
or to cooperate.
Hmm.
So, and a lot of the times it's unkindness to those people that are not ready to hear this.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I'm aware of something doesn't mean that I have to share it to everyone about
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
Maybe not at this particular time, maybe at some point, or maybe
Hmm.
not.
That's very interesting, and this is a um an amazing gift that you found when you were very young, in your early 20s, and it's carried on throughout your working life. Is there any part of this that doesn't serve you, that you sometimes wish you didn't have this gift?
I used to, yeah, when I started like really stepping into this,
Hmm.
because I would like get sensations in my body, whenever I have entity awareness, and and now that I don't resist it, I step into it fully. It's actually giving me information. So I'll give you a specific example, if I may.
Yes, please do.
So if I come home from work, whether it's hospital or aged care, and then I would feel like center of my chest is quote unquote painful. I always do quote unquote because I would never use the word pain right now. I would choose intensity. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because once we say pain, we've locked it in our bodies and that
Hmm.
it's ours. So what I've
Hmm.
learned over the years is, so I come home and like, noticing that intensity in my chest.
Hmm. Hmm.
I didn't really do anything strenuous today. I wonder, what is this?
Hmm.
Is this even mine?
Hmm.
And as soon as I even ask that question, is this even mine? It lightens up even just a little bit. And I just know that it's someone else's that I'm just aware of.
Hmm. And so, can you pass that on if it is an intensity that's not yours? It's possible. Are you able to shift that quite quickly?
Yes, I can by speaking to the energy of it and
Hmm.
returning it to the sender where I've picked it from, or
Hmm.
thanking my body.
Hmm.
Thank you for the information. Thank you
Hmm.
for the awareness.
Hmm.
And it dissipates.
Hmm.
And it actually, that awareness allows the effect to ripple through to the person that it's come from and where they've picked it up from, and so on and so forth. So it's a ripple
Very
effect.
powerful. Wow. Right. So that's a fascinating part of your life. It's been a thread the whole way through. But the second stone, I just wanted to touch on, if that's okay with you. It's your journey involving navigating domestic violence. Um, and if you're comfortable, I'd like to go there and just because I think it's a fairly significant chapter.
Yes, so this has been very recent in the last 2.5 to 3
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was a long relationship, about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It The domestic violence part, I only discovered that after the official decision of moving on with our lives, after
Mm-hmm.
separation.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I could see it. I found that while I was in it, it was harder for me to see it. It's so easy for me to support and assist others in
Mm-hmm.
their, you know, life questions and more
Mm-hmm.
clarity. But during the last 3 years, for some reason, there was something that's not allowing me to fully see it for myself when I was working on
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, having to realize, no, what has changed? And energy has shifted. Something in each of us has changed. And my awareness was I have grown more and more spiritually, stepping more into who I am. And the other party was choosing something different. And when we come to what I would call a lower frequency or vibration, we attract a lot of unseen energies. And this could even include entities and energies that tend to attach to that lower frequency and could make someone think differently. And so, like I told you, I have a background in psychology and nursing, did not go through medicine school straight after psychology, as I was watching people that were diagnosed with mental health illness, those with schizophrenia, and they would speak to different voices or people in their head. And I've had this question, what if who they're talking to is not unreal? like what we would tell them, oh no, you're not hearing voices, you're not
Mhm,
seeing things, but what if they
mhm,
actually have? And I have discovered that they have entity awareness and they don't know what to do with it. And so the medical system don't know what to do with it either. And so what I discovered with my partner was it was choosing lower frequency and vibration, allowed other energies to influence himself. And as I do, I ask for permission from my guides and from my higher self, from the universe, if it was okay for me to do and to tap into his energy and if there's any other unseen energies that's involved in this. And it was a
mhm.
yes. And he would harbor so many entities every single day, no matter how much I cleared him. Because I knew that
So
this
this
wasn't the
was,
same person.
gosh, so you've been with him for 10 years. And it was absolutely fine. But as the time went on, it was only in the last 3 years where things changed significantly. Just so that I'm understanding this properly. And he had, and you picked up all these different entities. Was he aware of all these entities? And was he aware of how he was changing? And did he get any help for it?
He was not fully aware of the whole context of it. But
Mm-hmm.
during the first year of our separation, we were gifting, I would say, gifting each other um, energy sessions. So he's learned one of the um, practical tools that I've learned and I teach as well. And like it was going smoothly. And once he drifted away from that, saying, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, just started getting heavier and heavier. It's like trying to run in water. That's how
Mm-hmm.
it felt for me.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how many times I cleared him on a
Mm-hmm.
regular basis, he'd still come and invite other lower
Mm-hmm.
frequency energies. Um, and yeah, I know because he would go on this roller coaster of overthinking and replaying things in his head. And
So is that when you said you went, I have to get out of here because there's nothing I can do with this. This is Groundhog Day, and I need to get out for my own sanity. Um, and sorry, just in terms of the domestic violence, what did that look? Because you said at the time you weren't aware it was, but looking back now it was. Just in practical terms, if you're comfortable, can you just
yes.
tell us what that looked like?
Yes. So after the separation, as you go through some documents and legal processes, I had to look through bank statements for the last 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't easy. It was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's like 10 years of paperwork. And then seeing some it was related to financial money being transferred from our mortgage to his personal account and to his other property without consulting me.
Mm-hmm.
And also I like discovered and became more aware of the way he was speaking to me differently. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of women, because I've learned so much about this, Debbie, about what
Mm-hmm.
coercive control actually is and
Mm-hmm.
manipulation, and
Mm-hmm.
that instilling that you've probably heard of the word gaslighting. It's like
I
making
have.
doubt
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and no matter how much you explain or try to make sense of it, if someone is not choosing that, it will never be clear or resolved because it's like you're both talking in different frequencies. It's like he's in that radio station and I'm in this radio station with different languages. So it was an interesting experience. So once I stepped out of it, I could actually see it more objectively and I became more aware as I expanded my awareness around this thing.
Yeah,
And
and I can imagine being in close proximity without stepping away. You're too close to be able to see the big picture. Um, so, what internal boundary became non-negotiable for you after this separation?
oh, it was this particular, I would say, asset called honor, honoring myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I was truly honoring myself, again, in question, would I
Mm-hmm.
allow myself to go through this, even though I know that it's not benefiting me?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to like navigate through that was quite challenging in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning because I'm like, no, surely not,
Mm-hmm.
because someone's going through something difficult. It's probably, they're speaking more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, forcefully,
Mhm.
or yeah, and I noticed like some patterns in the other party's behavior that were escalating, that before I probably would have just said, "Oh no, he's just had a bad day." But then like, no. And then I even
Mhm.
stepped in, and that was the first time I had my real voice in that relationship when I
Mhm.
went and said, "Just because we're separated, you do not have the right to speak to me in that way or in that tone. Like,
Mhm.
I know we have to navigate through this process
Mhm.
together, but I will not find this and accept this as a natural thing." So, no.
I love that, honoring yourself. I think that's incredibly empowering. So that takes me to the women that you support nowadays. They're often high achieving, empowered, and capable. So, what is usually beneath the surface when they come to you?
They come to me with different things, like, for instance, unexplained fatigue at work,
Hmm.
or unable to focus, just being a lot more cloudy or unable to sleep,
Hmm.
or get certain they feel certain sensations in their bodies that they cannot explain. And a lot of these are healthcare professionals as well. I've gone through
Hmm.
to the doctor and they couldn't
Hmm.
find
Hmm.
anything.
Hmm.
And so they come to me to see what else is there that I am aware of or
Hmm.
unaware of that you can see. And then we go deeper into
Hmm.
frequency levels for them. And
Hmm.
if there's any in like disruptive energies attached to them, that it's easy for me to just clear.
So, that would be so many different types of energies. Everybody comes with a different story.
Yes, and it could include not just including this lifetime.
Hmm.
Okay, there would be entities, there would be demonic influences, and there could even be some past life choices,
Hmm.
challenges, or there's so many facets in my protocol, Debbie, and one of
Yes.
them as well is non-beneficial archetypes. So, for instance, if they were a martyr in a past life, or they were a persecutor in a past life that they are unaware of, that they're still carrying the energies of that. It could be the guilt or the revenge, and even attachments to other people in their lives that they don't know why is this relationship a lot hotter than anything else. So I can check the compatibility of their frequency and their spirit guides and restore it to what would work for both parties, and
Wow.
also able to determine if no, like, the frequencies of these two people, they're not willing to change it. So then, giving them that awareness to my clients, they're able to make their choice more
Mhm.
consciously and spiritually as well.
Mm. Wow, that's wonderful. So, for a woman perhaps listening who's navigating a identity shift or something major right now, what advice would you give to her?
Oh, advice that I would give to her is, so this is real time. I'm tapping into the energy right now,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
connecting to an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
I would first ask that person what they see themselves as, and
Mm-hmm.
is it something that they think that they need to find, and then helping them come back home to themselves, because everything that we are looking for is actually within us.
So,
And
it's a lot of introspection.
yes.
Mhm. Beautiful. Now, if this chapter of your life had a title, or if you could sum up a message for this, if these women listening, what would that message be?
Oh wow, if a title, this
A
just
title or a message, or
message.
however you want to phrase it.
Okay, so title that just jumped up right now is embracing the extraordinary.
I love that. Embracing the extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Yeah, and it's
Mm,
all facets of oneself that they're
mm.
aware of and that they're unaware of.
That's beautiful. I love that because, extraordinary uh, is something we don't often allow. We stay in the ordinary, but We do.
Yes.
We are extraordinary, and going deeper and knowing that it's all within us, it is something very powerful. So, Giancarlo, thank you so much for taking your time and for sharing this story with us, and all your gems, wonderful gems, and yeah, and best of luck with all the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and all the best to everyone that's listening to this now and in the future.